Boise police are exploring ways to avoid injuries on the job, and that includes reconsidering the heavy equipment belts they wear, some of which weigh up to 40 pounds. Our police reporter Frankie Katafais explains.
When you look at law enforcement in general, I think the number one musculoskeletal complaint that we see is low back pain.
Dr. Rob Hilver has been treating first responders in the Treasure Valley for almost 20 years. He sees about 15 officers in his clinic daily and tells us about 5 to 10% of those officers are coming in with lower back pain. Boise's police chief Ryan Lee saying health and wellness is a critical issue for police officers.
I don't think the average citizen quite realizes the wear and tear physically on your body that a police career causes. They're from the more mundane things like wearing an extra 40 pounds on your body every day and moving around.
It's hard for any doctor to say with complete certainty that duty belts are to blame for injuries on the job.
So when I see these guys, they often have, trigger point muscle spasms. You can imagine wearing this heavy non-ergonomic belt when you're in a sitting position, particularly in a patrol officer. Rarely do you ever see patrol officers with cutouts for their belts and where their gun goes. So they often sit in a kind of an awkward position. And when you look at officers that are patrol deputies and they spend half their life in their car and on the street, man, that's a lot of time in potentially an awkward position.
Many officers and medical professionals believe load-bearing vests may be the solution to this so-called problem.
The idea is you're taking all that weight and you're putting it on a vest harness, so the weight is better distributed.
But fixing one problem may create another.
There are some studies out there and they've showed, hey, there tends to be less complaints of low back pain with that, but there tends to be more complaints of upper back pain.
We asked the Boise police chief about the future of external load-bearing vests in their department. He tells us they're still considering modifications, but have no definite plans for immediate change.
The reality of it is, once you start moving equipment, especially if you start talking about, say, moving a taser up onto a vest or pepper spray, the ability to protect and defend that from an area where you've been trained around your waist, there's a defensive tactics concern.
He says there are also training and officer safety concerns.
When we have all this external equipment visible, people will, and it's been my experience from the department that I came from, certain people will be attracted to it and they'll grab it. They'll also grab and use the vest itself as a handle sometimes.
Dr. Hilver believes that over time, chronic sitting or position changes while wearing duty belts will create significant injuries.
When you add a compressive external force across the low back, you're going to impinge these soft tissues, and not only impinge them, you're going to just change the ergonomics to even a very slight degree that, over time with chronic sitting or position changes, that this does compound, and you can start to create micro injuries that become more significant injuries over time.
For Idaho News 6, I'm Frankie Katafais.
Boise's K-9 unit and several detectives are already outfitted with the vests.